All right, so we have made it to Constantino Brumidi's grave. And as you can see here, the area has a bit of a gate around it. It's not preventing anyone from really coming in, but it's just since he's pretty much the most notable person buried in this cemetery, there is a gate. And there are some family members inside. And right up here, there's a sign. It says, Constantino Brumidi, Artist of the Capitol, 1805-1880. And you would think that someone like this would have a really prominent location within the cemetery, but he is all the way in the back. Not only is he in the back, he is right across from the actual neighborhood here. I can hear a dog barking from the building over there. The dog probably hears me talking, and that's why he's barking. So it's kind of strange that he's so close to the actual community over here. But anyway, let's take a walk inside. So you have other family members in here as well. It's Lawrence Brumidi, Lola Brumidi Kirkwood. And here he is. Here is Constantino Brumidi's grave. And I will read what it says. In memory of Constantino Brumidi, 1805-1880, Italian refugee artist, fresco decorator of the interior of the United States Capitol. And then we have a quote by Brumidi. He says, "My one ambition and my daily prayer is that I may live long enough to make beautiful the capital of the one country on earth in which there is liberty." And he said this in 1855, and that is right there. So here he is. Once again, I explained in part one of this series on Glenwood Cemetery that he did the painting of the underside of the Capitol dome. So of course we usually see the Capitol dome from the outside, but if you went in and took a tour and you were brought directly underneath the Capitol dome in the rotunda and you look straight up into the air, you see this large painting by him. But it is a beautiful painting. It is called the Apotheosis of Washington. It kind of presents Washington as a godlike figure. So this is his grave. And right now, at this exact moment, there is nobody here. I can pan all the way around and there are no people here at all. And basically if this is truly his headstone and that's where his head is, I am basically standing right over where his body is, which is not disrespectful. But the reason I'm saying all of this right now is at this exact moment, well actually, hold on, what time is it? Oh yes, it is 1:40. It's about 1:45, which means at this exact moment, the Capitol Rotunda is filled with people. It is filled with tourists, tour guides, maybe some other people there, and there are all kinds of people in this exact second that are staring up at the dome of the rotunda, looking at this painting and thinking, wow, this is amazing. There are Capitol tour guides at this moment telling their groups all about the painting and about Brumidi, and they're over there doing that, and yet we have this whole area entirely to ourselves. This is as close to Brumidi as anyone can get, and there's nobody else here. It is just us, and I truly love moments like that. Oh, and here is the gate. The gate is open and it says Brumidi over here. So right now we're taking an up-close look at the Apotheosis of Washington, Brumidi's most famous work. And it does not wrap around the entire dome, but only around the oculus, which is the round opening at the very center of the dome. And this is still pretty huge though. These figures, they may seem kind of small on screen, but some of them are about 15 feet tall. And this is an area of about a little under 5,000 square feet. And this took 11 months
for Brumidi to finish, and he finished in 1865. And what it's actually showing here is George Washington ascending to the status of a god, and he is surrounded by other figures from classical mythology. And you can see Washington in the center at the bottom half. Now, you know that you are a skilled artist when you do restoration work at the Vatican. If you think about how priceless these works are at the Vatican, and you're the guy that's doing the restoration work on them, that's pretty awesome when people remember you that way. But when it comes to Brumidi, this is only a side note to what people remember about him. So that really says a lot about his talent. And it's obvious from what you see on the screen that he was talented. But what might not be so obvious is that he pretty much took his life in his hands every time he painted up there. He was up high on scaffolding and had to work in these awkward positions. And once, although it wasn't on this work in particular, it was on another work in the Capitol Rotunda a bit lower, but still, he was pretty high up, and he almost completely fell off the scaffolding and ended up clinging to it for dear life. And this went on for some time until he was finally rescued. And on top of that, he was already in his mid-70s. So it really takes a lot of talent, and that's putting it very mildly, to paint on this level to start with. But to do it under these dangerous and awkward conditions, such as laying on your back and painting above you when you have to paint a fresco like this, really tells a lot about his skill. And not only his skill, but his dedication. I have to wonder how many of us will put our lives on the line every time we show up to work. And there are some of us who do, but Brumidi was definitely one of them. And because of this work, he is nicknamed the Michelangelo of the United States Capitol. And he first started work on the Capitol when he was 50 years old and continued on for the next 25 years. Although this was his most famous work and still is his most famous work, he has many other works of art within the Capitol building, especially in the Rotunda. There are some just enormous masterpieces that go all the way around the Rotunda. And there's also an entire hallway full of his art in the Senate wing called the Brumidi Corridor. Now, despite his fame at the time, after his death, he more or less fell into obscurity. In fact, when he was buried at Glenwood Cemetery, he was buried in an unmarked grave. No one knew where he was exactly for a very long time until the wife of a congressman took up the cause to find him. She and others who helped were successful in this, and in 1950, a grave marker was authorized by Congress, and it's the same one that you saw in this video. In 2008, he was given further long overdue recognition by Congress when he was posthumously awarded the Congressional Gold Medal, and it is on permanent display in the Capitol Visitor Center. He's buried 2 miles away from the Capitol building, and very close to the Capitol is the National Gallery of Art. Here you can find at least one work of art from each of the world's most famous artists, except for one, Michelangelo. So it is fitting that the Michelangelo of the United States Capitol can step in and sort of fill that void, just a 15-minute walk away.
But yeah, I'm going to stop here. I did not find Clark Mills's grave, but that's okay. We found Brumidi's. And thanks again for watching, guys. Like and subscribe. This channel is still pretty new, so every little bit helps. And this is Vigoroso, off in search of the next cool spot. So until later, take care and catch you in the next one.